What's up, guys? Welcome back to Savage Runs with Xavier. Today for you, I've got UFC Vegas 79 matchmaking. We did the recap yesterday, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. I gave all my awards out and talked about some of the fights that took place, a lot of good finishes, some unfortunate happenings like the main event. I'll talk about it a little bit today when I'm making matchups, but all the fighters you see in front of you are who we're doing. We've got Charles Jourdain, Brian Battle, Michelle Waterson Gomez, Marina Rodriguez, Dan Ige, Bryce Mitchell, Rafael Fiziev, we'll talk about that when we get to it, and Matthias Gamrot. Kicking it off, we've got Charles Jourdain. If I keep looking down, it's because I got notes in front of me. Charles Jourdain currently now on a 2-fight winning streak. He just beat Ricardo Ramos in that fight. He got, I believe it was the first round submission. Ramos was able to get him down early. Jourdain was able to scramble back up to his feet, was never really in danger on the ground, and as soon as Ramos got back in trying to get another takedown, Charles Jourdain was able to sink in that nice guillotine. He talked about it, the one he got Lando Venata with, that one-arm guillotine. It's real tight, hard to get out of. He gets that again versus Ricardo Ramos, so his 2-fight win streak includes Ricardo Ramos, obviously, and then he beat Kron Gracie in that really weird fight where Gracie couldn't really do anything, which we all thought was going to happen. Before that, he had lost 2 fights in a row to Shane Burgos and Nathaniel Wood. So when he takes that step up, it tends to be tough for him sometimes. And but you know, when he's fighting around this like medium kind of level guys, you'd say the middling guys, the guys a little bit outside the rankings, but kind of getting close if they can string some wins together. He does well there. And his opponent, I think that he should take on, because he'll be aiming for a 3-fight win streak here now, so he'll definitely take a step up here, I assume. I think we go with Nate Landwehr. He's just coming off of his last fight, which was his first ranked shot. He took on Ige, was not able to get that victory. Ige got it done by unanimous decision, was able to hurt Landwehr a few times. Landwehr really didn't go for the wrestling, wasn't able to get anything meaningful done with his striking. He is 3-1 in his last 4. Those 3 are Ludovic Klein, David Onama, Austin Lingo, and then that one, like I told you, the UD lost to Dan Ige. So I just think he got his ranked attempt. He wasn't able to get in. He's looking to restart that win streak, try and put together something that will get him back to trying to get into the rankings. Charles Jourdain looking to kind of complete that streak that could get him into the rankings. A guy who kind of could give him that bump up and maybe a chance if he can string together this one and one more afterwards. I think Nate Landwehr's a good one, and for Nate Landwehr, if he can get that win versus Charles Jourdain, that is a good win for him back to start up his streak. It's a good name to kick off your streak. Always a tough fight. And I think this would be a really sick fight too. Both of these guys are explosive and fun to watch. Next up, Brian Battle getting a 2nd round submission victory over, I can never remember this kid's name. Where is it? AJ Fletcher. I don't know why I always have trouble remembering his name. But Brian Battle, 5-1 in the UFC after winning the Ultimate Fighter, so he's had quite a good run. His only loss is to Rinat Fakhretdinov, who has proven to be quite the prospect so far after just annihilating Kevin Lee. Brian Battle's now on a 2-fight win streak after that loss to Fakhretdinov, beating Gabe Green in 14 seconds with that crazy knockout, and now AJ Fletcher, who I think we give Brian Battle. He definitely needs to step up. We saw it. He got that nice little streak, took that step up versus a good prospect in Fakhretdinov. Stumbled a bit. We're here. We've got the streak back. We're looking to rebuild. No reason to rush him into anything crazy. Taking a shot at a guy who has been in there with some tough dudes. Tim Means, he's been in there. I actually wrote it down. His last 3 fights before beating Fialho. So actually Tim Means fought on the same card as Brian Battle, getting the 3rd round KO TKO victory over Andre Fialho. Before that win over Fialho, he'd been in the cage with Kevin Holland, Max Payne Griffin, and Alex Morono. So that's 3 really tough guys. He lost all 3, but it just shows you the kind of guys Tim Means has been in there with. He's a gritty veteran who can eat shots to give shots, can survive, can make it tough, can make it gross in there. And I just think it would be a good challenge for Brian Battle to continue building that win streak, and adding Tim Means would probably be the best name on his resume so far. So that would be that would be a pretty good win for Brian Battle. And if Tim Means can get it done, that would be 2 fights in a row for him. Andre Fialho, then Brian Battle, and I don't know. That would be 2 good wins for a 39-year-old Tim Means, who's I don't know what his intentions are at the moment. If he's trying to get back, keep trying to build to a belt. I don't know what he wants to do at this age, but it would just be a nice little 2-fight win streak for sure. And another sick fight, I think. Next up, Michelle Waterson-Gomez. She's 1-6 in her last 7 on a 4-fight losing streak now after just getting steamrolled by Marina Rodriguez in this last fight this past weekend. 1-6 in her last 7, like I said, 4-fight losing streak, losing to Marina Rodriguez. I thought that was going to fall. Marina Rodriguez, Amanda Lemos, where is it? Luana Pinheiro, and then Marina Rodriguez again. So she's on a really tough streak, 4 in a row on the bounce. You can't do that. So I can't believe she's still in the rankings, to be honest. I was kind of surprised she was still in the rankings yesterday. I think she's 14 now. She probably shouldn't be in the rankings, but since she is, she's got to defend her spot. And this is outside the rankings are weird here. There's nobody that's really making a case for themselves that doesn't already have a fight scheduled coming up for the rankings. Denise Gomez has a fight coming up. Who's the younger girl? Yasmin Lucindo has a fight coming up. There are a few other girls that had fights, and then the other thing was nobody else is on a win streak unless they have a fight scheduled, like I said. So the only girls that were available, really, and again, I don't know if they deserve a shot at the rankings, but they're the only ones available right now. Loma Lookboonmee, who you can see right here, she is 4-1 in her last 5 and on a 2-fight win streak, beating Denise Gomez, who does have a fight coming up pretty soon, and Elise Reed. So it's Denise Gomez is a good fight, a good win to have on your streak, and Elise Reed, it is what it is. So she's on a 2-fight win streak. Maybe she deserves it, maybe she doesn't. And then if they don't go with this, another fight, I could see them putting together just because of who she is. Jillian Robertson, she just recently lost her attempt trying to get into the rankings. She lost to Tabitha Ricci. She is 2-1 in her last 5, however, and those wins are against Agapova and Piera Rodriguez. So it doesn't make the most sense giving Jillian Robertson a ranked attempt, but neither does Loma Lookboonmee, to be fair. So maybe we wait, a few fights open up, some things happen, and new fights can be made with people that have finished some upcoming fights. So if one of these doesn't happen, I don't know. They can definitely wait and schedule something out later. Kind of the same case here. Marina Rodriguez. Everyone above her has a fight coming up other than like Jandiroba and Lemos, but those are the 2 fights she just lost before beating Michelle Waterson-Gomez. So it doesn't really make too much sense to get those scheduled up again. And everyone below her that's looking to build up, that could make sense for Marina Rodriguez, has a fight scheduled as well. So another weird spot for this division. The only person available right now is Tisha Torres, who is below Marina Rodriguez and did just lose her last fight. It was to... where is it? Tisha Torres. Why can't I find it? Oh, Mackenzie Dern. She just lost to Mackenzie Dern. Before that, had won 3 in a row against Brianna Fortino, Sam Hughes, and Angela Hill. So this is the only fight right now that can make sense. They have fought each other before. Marina Rodriguez won by unanimous decision. So this is another case where I think they could wait, see what happens in a few fights. Maybe some other opportunities open up. But if they do schedule something sooner than later, this is really the only one available. Next up, we get to Dan Ige, who just lost to Bryce Mitchell in this past event, in the co-main event. Ige had some good moments. He was able to definitely land some big shots on Bryce Mitchell. Hurt his eye pretty bad at one point. But Bryce Mitchell was able to get in there, continue wrestling, get the dub. And for Dan Ige, he's 2-1 in his last 3, 2-3 in his last 5, however. Those 2 wins are against Damon Jackson and Nate Landwehr. And then the loss, obviously, is to Bryce Mitchell, as we just saw. So obviously he can't fight up. I don't know if he has to fight outside of the rankings quite yet. There are some guys below him. So I assume they'll give him somebody still in the rankings. I believe Ige is like 11 or 12 now, something like that. But somebody below him looking to fight up who doesn't have a fight scheduled, Lerone Murphy. I think this could be a really sick fight. Lerone Murphy's undefeated in the UFC, 5 wins, no losses, and I can't remember if it was a no contest or a draw, but he does have that as well. His last fight was unanimous decision victory over Josh Coulibaugh to get him into the rankings. He's number 15 at the moment. So obviously without a fight scheduled, him looking to build, Dan Ige coming off a loss. I just think this is a good spot for either Dan Ige to get back in the win column and thwart another young guy coming up, or can Lerone Murphy get past the tough test, his toughest test for sure, in Dan Ige? That would prove he really belongs in these rankings. Next up, the winner of that fight, Bryce Mitchell, getting it done versus who we just talked about, Dan Ige. There are a few things you could do. I think the one that makes the most sense, you go with Movsar Evloev. They've been scheduled to fight twice before already. Neither fight ended up taking place. There were pullouts due to one reason or another. Bryce Mitchell lost his first UFC fight previous to this Dan Ige fight when he took on Topuria. He lost by second round submission. His last 3 opponents have been Edson Barbosa, Ilia Topuria, and Dan Ige. So he's taking on some tough guys recently. Evloev, in the UFC, 7-0 undefeated. Outside of the UFC, he only had 3 decisions, I believe. Inside the UFC, all 7 wins are decisions, so no finishes in the UFC yet. His last fight was a win over the debuting Diego Lopez, who is now proven to become quite the fan favorite. Been in some exciting fights, got a good finish against Gavin Tucker in his last fight, so definitely a good win, aging well. And like I said, they've been scheduled to fight before. They're quite close to each other in the rankings. Bryce coming off of a loss, getting a win versus someone ranked below Movsar, and Evloev fighting a guy who was not ranked last. So I just think this makes sense at where they both are. It's been scheduled before. Let's finally get this one done. Fiziev, we saw him in the main event, threw a kick, obliterated his plant leg, his support leg, tore his ACL, I believe he said in his video. He'll be out for 9 months minimum, I assume. I don't know if there's really any reason to make a fight for him, just because the landscape of the rankings, especially in 155 pounds, could look very different by that time. So I'm going to wait on Fiziev. Making a matchup for him right now would not make sense. I could have added in another guy to do. I could have done Brundage got a win. I could have done Malkoun, the guy that Brundage beat by DQ, just because Malkoun was absolutely torching Brundage before that. But I don't know. It wasn't really a big enough fight. It wouldn't have been a big enough matchup making with Malkoun, so I decided to stay away. But the winner, I guess it pops up quick, regardless of how he gets it done, Mateusz Gamrot. He's on a 2-fight win streak now. I'm kind of annoyed you can see who I put his opponent already, but whatever. He's on a 2-fight win streak now, beating Jalen Turner previous to this, and now Rafael Fiziev. Both have been a little iffy. The Jalen Turner one, split decision. Some people think Jalen Turner could have won that fight, and then this one with Fiziev, obviously. He goes out there, he gets a takedown. Fiziev's able to get back up quite easily, stuffs some other takedowns. Gamrot's competing on the feet, but nothing really crazy has happened. I can't say it was looking like it was going to go Fiziev's way or Gamrot's way, but signs were looking good for Fiziev. He was stuffing takedowns, and it was on the feet, which is obviously where he wants to be. But regardless, Fiziev's knee explodes. Gamrot gets the dub. We're here now. His only losses in the UFC, Gamrot, have come to Kuta Taladze. That was his UFC debut in a fight he probably should have won. And Beneil Dariush is a tough fight for anybody, even though we saw Charles Oliveira walk through him. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, 1-2 in his last 3, even though he's 3-2 in his last 5. Coming off of a brutal head kick knockout loss to Justin Gaethje. So he was looking to get back to the title, take on Islam possibly after this Charles Oliveira fight, if Islam wins, but Gaethje gets it done. Now we're waiting to see what happens next with Gaethje in the title. DP has fought in his last few fights McGregor twice, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler, and Justin Gaethje, like I said. So killers, obviously. He's only fought in the top 5 recently. He's 1-2 in his last 3. I think he kind of has to take a step outside that top 5, or at least defend his top 5 spot. I think that's why it makes sense to go with Gamrot. who is 6 now, I believe. So it's not like he's even dropping that much outside of the top 5 to fight. But at this point in his career, he's had his title fights. He's been in the top 5 for quite a while now. If he wants to keep that spot, I do think he has to defend it versus Mateusz Gamrot. And if Gamrot wins, he enters the top 5, and we've got some new blood in the top 5 finally, which would be interesting. But this would definitely be a good fight. There are a lot of different things that could happen in this one, so I would be quite excited for this fight. And I do think Poirier would be game for it, to be honest. But yeah, those are the matchups I'm going with for UFC Vegas 79. No predictions video this week. We've got no UFC card. We've got Grant Dawson taking on Bobby Green. I believe it's UFC Vegas 80. That's going to be not this upcoming weekend, but the next. So we're off this weekend. I may do an NFL video tomorrow, or Friday or Saturday, before Sunday, just to kind of test the water, see how that goes. But yeah, with no UFC this weekend, I will see you guys maybe for NFL, but definitely next week for predictions and bets on Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green. Drop a like on the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Peace.